Hey everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and today we're here with one of the most fun, small, premium SUVs on the market right now, the all-new 2025 MINI John Cooper Works Countryman. Here we have it pretty much all specced out at around just $51,000, which honestly is not that bad of a price for how much performance, premium features, materials, and options you're getting on this vehicle. And we have a really cool color combination here with this dark legend gray over a spicy red accent and a really wild interior. And if you really want to stand out from the crowd, there's no better other brand to go with than MINI Cooper, as they have that unique design language that they still are keeping with even up into this latest generation model year. And this is the best Countryman ever made. So let's go dive in. I'm going to show you all the really cool features of this all-new MINI Countryman and all the unique bits we're getting with this John Cooper Works model. Let's go dive in. Now, what's powering this John Cooper Works MINI Countryman here? Well, under the hood, we have a pretty familiar powertrain here. This is the tried and true BMW Group B48 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine here, and this is the upgraded performance version of this engine, which means a little more enhanced internals to make sure that this extra boost pressure we're getting on here, it can handle it reliably over the course of time. And this particular one, we're getting a nice healthy power output, 312 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, while horsepower may be up for this new generation MINI Countryman JCW, torque is actually down a little bit, and this is because that they have now changed the gearbox from the old 8-speed ACEN unit to this new 7-speed dual clutch unit. So you're getting a pretty different driving experience now. And with that lower torque, shockingly, this is actually a little bit quicker than the outgoing model, I think because of this dual clutch, quicker shifts, and the increased horsepower number we're getting there. So interesting combination, and nonetheless, it is still a pretty efficient engine. If you are driving it not like a lunatic or in go-kart mode, you can actually see pretty good numbers, around 30 plus-ish mpg on the highway. Now, if you are in other markets outside the United States, you're actually going to be getting less horsepower, around 290-ish horsepower, 295. I believe those are due to emissions laws in other countries, but here in the US, we get the full shabam here. And with this JCW model, we are also getting upgraded JCW brakes that have drilled rotors on them. We also are getting an enhanced suspension, as well as a adaptive suspension system that you actually cannot control yourself, but it will figure itself out depending on the road environment and what drive experience mode you are in. And one big downside, I would say, with this new generation engine and powertrain is it's just not as loud and aggressive on the exterior as the previous model was. You can definitely, and there are all those little fun mini sound pops and bangs we're getting that are really still fun, but I just wish the exhaust note was as loud as the old JCW models. Nonetheless, still really fun of a package, and let's go take a tour of the rest of this vehicle. Now, what's going on with the design of this all-new MINI Countryman here? Well, I think it's really, really cool and funky looking. It's still keeping that MINI design ethos of that kind of puppy dog face going on over here, but it's a little more boxed off and rounded and less rounded off than it was before. And you can definitely see that up here in these all-new daytime running lights, which can be configured to a whole bunch of different options, which I think is a really cool, fun feature. We also have full LED main and high beams with cornering lights, steering headlights. They're really, really bright at night, so I like the stuff going on there. This paint color as well is really gorgeous. It has this nice metallic flick to it. It really gives it a dynamic look between grays, a little bit green and blue, and some black colors as well in certain lighting conditions. Really nice optional spicy red up here on the roof and on these mirror caps as well. But of course, you can option that to however you like it. On the up front side over here, much larger and more prominent grille before, and in this John Cooper Works version, it is completely blacked out. Really cool racing patterns going on throughout the entire of the grille, and a lot of it is open for additional cooling. But you can see here we have a new style John Cooper Works logo for this next generation of MINI products, which kind of ditches that old surfboard style, but that little motif is still kept on the interior, which we will get to. And the MINI badge, blacked out, really nice placed up here, but I would say it's not so mini anymore. It's a little bit on the bigger end. Again, some more nice red accents over here. And overall, I think it's a really nice looking SUV. It doesn't really look big in person. It still has that kind of compact size, but there's more boxier styling. I think it's going to appeal to a lot more people, as this seems to be the trend now in this market. Now, up front here on the side of the MINI Countryman JCW, we have these unique JCW wheels, and these are optional flag style wheels. So they're going to follow that new pattern that we're seeing on the JCW logo, as well as we're seeing on the grille. and basically throughout this entire vehicle. I think they look quite nice, but they do have a few different options for you to pick from. I believe 19 inches are standard. These are an optional upgraded 20-inch wheel. We can see back here, we also have the upgraded JCW brakes. They are drilled rotors, and we have some really nice big red calipers over here to help with that stopping power. And I have to say the brakes themselves are really, really great when coming to a stop. They don't have the best travel feel of the pedal, but I think they do work in action quite well. And these, now coming around to the rear of the all-new Mini Countryman, you can definitely see how low it still actually is. I'm 6 feet tall, and this roofline really does come all the way down to a really sharp slope back here, and that's definitely to help with aerodynamics around this vehicle. We also have these kind of extended side pieces over the rear glass and almost like this spoiler piece as well. Nice slim wiper back here, and I think the design is really, really unique back here. I personally was not too big of a fan of this in pictures, but in person it definitely works a lot better. I love these taillights, really cool, and again, customizable, so you can change them from this kind of Union Jack style to a whole bunch of different kind of designs, whatever suit your taste, in conjunction with those front daytime running lights. Nice blacked out badging back here from the Countryman logo to the Mini logo to our John Cooper Works logo on this lower side. And I guess one of the most noticeable bits that this is a John Cooper Works Countryman is the quad exhausts. Why are there quad exhausts on this vehicle? I don't really know. I asked the same question when I had the X1 M35i. It isn't super loud. Even in the different exhaust modes, you really don't hear a lot of exhaust noise out here. Back here, of course, we can open up our power tailgate with the touch of a button. That opens up quite quickly to you and revealing quite a nice amount of storage space back here. We have this cargo cover up top, which is nice to have some privacy options. We also have a option on this particular vehicle that's giving us this privacy glass around the vehicle, so we have a nice darker tint for you. Back here, lots of nice storage space. Opening up our floor reveals even more storage space as well, though you're not going to find a spare tire in this Mini Countryman. You're going to need to have a tire kit with you if you're going to really want to make sure you have some security out there on the roads. Otherwise, I think this is a decent amount of storage space, really not too big. If you need to fold down the seats, they do fold, I believe, 40-60-40 style. So that'll kind of increase that cargo space just a little bit for you. But again, it's a Mini at the end of the day. It's not going to be the most amount of cargo space in this segment. And before hopping inside the Mini, check out this really awesome new key fob. It has Mini on the back. It almost looks like an art piece or a fun little like toy you would get. But you can remote start it by pressing the Mini logo 3 times, unlock our trunk, open, and of course we have our panic button there. But I really like this key fob. It's a nice shape. But opening up this interior, really cool space in here. There's a lot of interesting materials that Mini and BMW are also using now. But just listen to the door closing sound. Just check out how many layers of sound insulation we have around this. But listen to the sound, because it sounds awesome closing these doors. Really nice, solid thunk there. I really like these door handles here. They're also meant to be a little bit more aerodynamically optimized. But hopping inside here, we have this Vesson cord style interior. So this is actually this interesting fabric material here, and behind it is a red type of this fabric. So we have this kind of dark charcoal fabric, and hiding behind it is this red fabric. It looks really, really interesting. Vertically mounted door handles as well. Really interesting maneuver there. We have a nice armrest, power window control here, kind of the same shape as this key we're seeing. This kind of checkered style pattern here for our Harman Kardon audio system, which is really, really good. And there's some more cheaper plastics on the lower end of the door cards, but we do have some pretty huge openings here for our water bottles. And hopping inside, let's go check out these seats. Again, nice solid door thunk back here, and just check out this interior. We're kind of seeing, again, that same theme here, this kind of oval style pattern back here. I honestly have a really, really big amount of legroom back here. I feel quite spacious, lots of foot space, lots of knee and leg space. We have a storage cubby in the back of this really sporty front driver's seat as well. Honestly, this is a really comfortable rear seating area. We have air vents in the center console with this kind of interesting center controller here and 2 USB-C ports. Not much adjustment with them, but it's nice to have air vents back here. A very small hump in the floor and a little bit of some extra storage space down there, which is a nice touch. The seats themselves are really, really comfortable, and they really have a really cool design to them as well. We have this, again, really cool oval style pattern here with this checkered red contrast stitching throughout here. And of course, we have headrests that fold down and up, which is a really cool touch there. So if you want some extra visibility, you can fold these headrests up or down as well, which is a nice touch. You can actually see that little C-pillar piece back here. It does block a little bit of some of your view out of those rear windows, but nonetheless, quite nice back here. We do have reclining seats, so you pull this little tab, you can recline the seats back and forward. Center area over here, we have a nice kind of contrasting little red piece here. Fold it down. We have 2 cup holders, which is a nice little touch there. And overall, it doesn't feel very mini back here. It's quite big, and I feel quite comfortable and spacious, especially with this absolutely massive panoramic glass roof that goes pretty much all the way behind my head, which means I have like 4, 5, 6 inches of headroom over here, which is really great for someone who is especially over 6 feet tall. Let's go check out this front end cabin, because this place over here is truly wild of a design. Now let's go check out the front of this all new Mini Cooper Countryman. Again, a keyless access. So it unlocks when I touch the door panel over here. And every time you lock and unlock the vehicle, you get a really cool animation on the front and rear of it. So opening up this door, again, same treatment we saw on the rear seats. Only up here is that we have a little bit more space on the lower end for some storage, as well as another speaker up here for our Harman Kardon audio system. And these seats are even more interesting than the rear ones. Check out this blended kind of Vesson cord style design. Lots of stitching and different patterns going on in here. And even the headrests have this really nice center red spine in it, of course, because this is the John Cooper Works model. Closing up the door, and here is this one space where the old mini John Cooper Works logo comes into play. Right down here on these aluminum pedals. Just check out that little surfboard style pedal, just like the old John Cooper Works logo, but nonetheless, everything in here is very new. And let's start it up and we'll dive in all the really interesting features. And here, our engine stop start switch is over here, and it is pulsating before you turn it on, so you just turn it really any direction. And the car powers on to life pretty quickly. First up front here, new design steering wheel. Lots of stuff going on here. We have these really interesting different patterns. We have this nice grip pattern over here, a thinner, softer pattern up top. And down here, this is something I've really never seen before, a fabric kind of third bar to the steering wheel. It's very stiff. There's a little bit of flex to it, but it follows that same kind of Vesson cord style design theme of this interior. Really cool paddle shifters as well. They feel actually quite nice, even though they're plastic, but we have a boost button on this one. So if we hold this down, we get 10 seconds of extra boost, and our up paddle shift are over there. Nice stalks over here for all of our lighting controls. We have a quick access button, which unveils more lighting controls in the infotainment system, fully automatic wipers, of course. And if you're going to notice up here, we have a little bit of an infrared sensor for our driver attention awareness and adaptive cruise control systems, and this really cool oval pattern over here in plastic that blends right into this cord style dash. So it has that same material we saw on the door panels and the seats, but on here we have these interesting little red specks going across, and those actually are reflective at night with the mini projector. I know there's so much stuff going on here, but back here is a literal mini projector, and on both sides of the dash, but depending on what drive mode you're in, it projects light onto these dashes. And of course you can kind of turn it off if it's annoying, but I think it's really cool of an interesting design to really make this interior pop and stand out. There's no one doing an interior like this on the market. And these air vents are also really interesting of a design piece. It's almost like these spines of the vehicle kind of peeking through this awesome dashboard design here. Just check out how this essential spine is kind of laid out, and we have our vent kind of centered around it, and that's all of the 4 air vents we have on the dash are laid out in that design. Really unique piece there. We do still get the older style heads-up display, so that does have this little additional screen that pops in and out, but honestly I think I quite like this. It's really crystal clear. It always works really all the time, depending, no matter like the sunlight conditions or whatever. And it is adjustable with drive modes. You can change up things with the steering wheel controls over here. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in this heads-up display, especially just, you know, some of the plastics in this vehicle aren't the nicest, but you know, it's a mini, not full-on BMW, so there's going to be some little bit of cost cutting over here, but nonetheless I still think it's pretty worth the money at this pretty much fully loaded price of around $51,000. We have some lights over here for on the steering wheel for when we're using our adaptive cruise control system or parking assist, which it has full parking assist, as well as all the BMW features. So we have backup assistant, parking assistant, we have an incredible 360-degree view camera system, and panoramic view up front, and the steering wheel, when you're moving, this camera will actually kind of turn with the steering wheel. Of course, we have our 3D views as well. We can kind of see our vehicle all around it. And of course, car wash mode and car wash view as well for the camera. So impressive camera systems here on this new Countryman. And I'm This whole center console area over here is very interesting. We have this OLED display here, which is kind of floating on the dash. It's generally a really gorgeous display. It has a matte texture on it, so there's really not going to be any glare, so you don't have to worry about that. This is running, of course, this latest version of Mini's OS based off of BMW's iDrive style software. It is an Android-backed software, so there is some cool stuff in here. We have an app store, no Google Play stuff or anything like that. It's just like that back-end software that a lot of manufacturers are switching to now, but I will say it's a little bit much at first to get used to. There's a lot of stuff going on, and everything is sort of leads to another shortcut here. So this is your main home screen display over here we have, and from there you can dive into endless amounts of menus. So up here, this is always going to really be here, this kind of main piece. Up here we can kind of access our speedometer, so whatever mode you're in, you can always get your big speedometer up here, that classic Mini look, and this will change depending on the drive modes you're in. Even the navigation, I have to say, really impressive stuff going on with this navigation. It's very quick to respond. The 3D multi-touch works really well. It's giving like Tesla levels of high-tech stuff, and I really love when you come to each end, we have that nice little Union Jack motif. If I scroll all the way over to the right and it ends there, we have that Union Jack motif over there. So really nice cohesive design stuff going on here. We have our adaptive driving display. This is going to show our adaptive cruise control style systems, and this is a really advanced display. And when you use the built-in Mini navigation, you get AR navigation, and it overlays that screen over the road in front of you, which is honestly just a really impressive feat there. So opening up this menu here, it kind of gets a little bit extra, and this is where I'm honestly got a little bit upset in this vehicle. You actually have to pay to kind of access more features in this vehicle. For example, if you go to this Mini Connected store here, this vehicle did have it for a day while I had this car, but over the course of this week it somehow expired. But you pay $9.99 from $9.99 and it unlocks way more stuff. So if you press this, for example, you're going to see it kind of unlocks things like another app store, the gaming systems, your personal assistant, additional controls, navigation stuff, video streaming, and it must also unlock this interior camera, which we have paid for as an option, but I don't think I can use it because I don't have this connected plus thing. This is a really big essential option. It helps things with your navigation from your personal assistant. This is like a no-brainer to get in this vehicle, so you kind of have to get that to really unlock a lot more stuff in this vehicle. Not only that though, every Mini and BMW product, you really do need to create a ID and log in, because that's the only way you're really going to unlock every part of this vehicle. There's so many access points to this vehicle that are tied to these IDs. From your voice assistant, for example, I literally cannot use my voice assistant unless it's tied to an ID, as you can see right there. And another huge component to this vehicle is these experience modes that we have in this interior here. So as you can see down here, we have this experience button, and at night there's a little heart here that lights up. This changes your drive modes, and how I'd like to think about this is that we have our go-kart mode, which is our sport mode, which we can change a whole bunch of settings from. We have core and green mode. This is our fully extensive eco style mode here. Really cool stuff when we go in here. You get a little animation, some sound, which you can turn on and off, and you can get out of this display. If we want to go back to our speedometer, for example, you can go to whatever display you want, but this is the unique efficient style display. So those are your three main drive modes. Core is just like normal. Now all these other experiences we have here, for example, are all variations of core. So vivid, timeless, balance, and trail are all variations of the core mode, and they all are really just design based. So they all just offer different unique design speedometers, for example, and themes within your Mini system. So you check out this cool speedometer style gauge cluster we have here. And one of my other favorites is this timeless one, which really goes back to a classic font. We have a cool little funky logo and all these interesting things here. So these are all kind of based off of that core mode. It's really go-kart mode and eco mode really change the driving dynamics here, for example. So check this out in go-kart mode. Here the revs bump up here, and you can customize everything that's happening within the go-kart mode. So you press your gear here, and then you can change your drivetrain, for example. You can put it into sport or sport plus, drive dynamics, sport, DSC off, sport plus. These two turn off your DSC and traction control levels on different conditions, steering behavior as well. And so there's a lot of things you can kind of customize with this vehicle, but this is one of my favorite modes because I think this is the coolest looking gauge layout out of all of them. But for perfect day-to-day driving, core and eco mode are beyond fine. Now, one thing that may be interesting to some of you guys is that all of the climate control systems are packed into this screen. So you do have these little quick access buttons on the side here for your heated steering wheel, heated seats, and you can kind of adjust this really easily. But if you want your full climate menu, you open up this piece over here, and this is where you can adjust things individually manually, you can put it in auto, turn it on and off. Honestly, not that difficult to navigate. It's pretty cohesive of a design, I think, on here. I love the Union Jack motif within this system. Again, really fun stuff here. We also have a shortcuts bar down here. So log in with your ID, you're going to have your pre-selected shortcuts. And one of the most interesting standout features that literally I don't think anything in this class has is a massaging driver's seat. So I can go down here, adjust all my driver's seat controls here. And if I start fidgeting with some of them, it's going to ask, oh, were you looking to start your massage? So you can actually go into settings and adjust the massage for your driver's seat, which is really, really interesting. I can turn it on. I have activation, relaxation, revitalization, and invigoration, all these different modes, and they all have a different time. I think it's all around 20 minutes, but that is so cool. And they just really adjust all these 3 big air bladders in the seat for you to kind of give you a little bit more rejuvenating experience. But I think that's really awesome to have in a Mini. It, again, helps it to stand out from the crowd. It makes it a nice, unique feature. But this is a lot of infotainment system to kind of get used to, and once you do get used to it, like I said, I think it's fine. We also have a really nice cooled wireless charger mat right here, which again has that nice kind of cord style fabric over here with the red inlays. More storage down here, nice big cup holders. And then this is the most interesting piece, I think, to this vehicle, is this center little console storage piece over here. It doesn't seem to be movable whatsoever, but it's like an art piece, I think. With the MINI logo on there, again, that nice cord fabric. Pop it open and it reveals this center and console little interior storage space over here. Nice little concept there. But that also means you have even more storage back here. This is where you're going to find your 12-volt socket, as well as 2 USB-C ports and a huge center armrest, which unfortunately only can move forward and back. It doesn't open up to any more additional storage. This is going to be your storage over here, but thankfully we do have a glove box as well, which is a decent size to put more things, and it is lockable, which is a really nice touch. Also on the seats, before we head off and drive this Mini, is we have this really nice bolstering on the seat, which I think is a really nice touch. Helps you throughout the corners, even on the sides up here. It's a really nice, strong bolstering. So yes, this is a very interesting, unique interior. Of course, this is unique to the John Cooper Works version of this Countryman. So different trims of the Countryman, it's going to be different themes going on in this interior. If you want something that stands out, this is definitely a vehicle for you. Right off the bat here, one of the main things you're going to notice with this new generation Mini Countryman is that the 8-speed automatic gearbox is gone. Now we have a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and the shifts are noticeably quicker, though one of the things you're going to have to deal with now is that it is in fact a dual clutch. And if you're not familiar with the dual clutch, you know, sometimes coming off of a start, you're going to have a little bit of this lurchiness. You're not technically really supposed to be creeping in traffic with dual clutches too, because there are 2 clutches that are engaging and disengaging to, you know, to kind of switch between those gears. So you're going to notice some lurchiness. Same thing with the stop and start system. Sometimes it may not be the smoothest operation, but when you are on it, when you're driving it in a sporty fashion, I think this is really fun of a gearbox. I think it rose through those gears quickly. You know, it's not like a performance style gearbox, but it definitely gets the job done quite well, though I'm not too sure about how in normal operations this gearbox would be like to drive around. And when you are able to go through these experience modes here, you can quickly access a little bit more of that engine. You're going to get a little bit more revs going through these corners. And of course, you have a limited slip differential up front here to really help you tie you through the corners and make sure there's not torque steer kind of dragging you in and out different areas. So really like this platform here. Now, one thing I do wish is the steering is honestly quite go-karty in a sense, though it isn't the sharpest tool. You don't have the most amount of feel coming through that steering system, but I think for this vehicle and general comfort purposes, it is quite good. One thing you are going to notice up here, though, is it's a little bit bumpy, and even with these larger wheels here, you can definitely notice the stiffer chassis than a normal Countryman may typically be for you. So it does have adaptive dampers, and throughout the modes, I believe it does kind of adjust itself. So if you go back down into this core setting, for example, in your experience modes, that's going to be a little bit more of a softer experience for you, but it's still going to be more on that aggressive, sportier, stiffer end in the Countryman space than regular. And since this is, of course, the John Cooper Works Countryman, we are getting a unique suspension and as well as upgraded brakes as well in this vehicle to really help you stop. I think naturally this engine has a really nice sound to it as well. It really isn't anything too raspy or too droney. It just has a nice raw raucous sound. And of course, if you want to have that more increased sound experience in your Mini, you can just go back into the drivetrain, turn on the Mini sound experience. And even in this core setting we have here, it is kind of offering a little bit more enhanced speaker inside, as you can hear. I'm gonna roast through some gears for a second. You can definitely hear a little bit more sound pumped in there, and the second you go into something like go-kart mode, for example, that sound is really enhanced through the speakers here. There's even some kind of fake pops going on around you. And this is pretty similar to its cousin, the BMW X1 M35, that does the exact same thing, and you can turn that sound on and off. But pretty much all the vehicles in this kind of sportier style segment of this SUV class do the same thing. Same thing with the GLA 35. It has really aggressive sounds that you actually can't even turn off as well. We experienced that earlier this past year. So I like the ability to turn it off and to get some more natural sounds in here, but it's a unique thing to have if you really want to have that enhanced driving experience. And overall, I think it's pretty fun. And we also have a boost function over here on our paddle shifter. So when you are rolling through your gears, you can access a little bit of overboost on those turbochargers. And you get 10 seconds of this really cool boost mode, and you definitely feel it kicking you in the back of your seat. It is pretty potent of an experience here. And the sport transmission really does enhance shifts for you when under throttle. And there are all those little fun mini sound pops and bangs we're getting in this vehicle. So going around roads and kind of enjoying this car really is a fun experience. And I'm glad Mini still was able to kind of keep this heads-up display unit in here. If they just went full Tesla style and just went with this center touchscreen over here, I don't think I'd be too happy. I'd like to still have this screen in front of me showing my speed and even turn-by-turn directions. And if you do use the Mini navigation system built into the vehicle, it's going to give you a little bit more of a nicer map display up there. But it's really clear, color, high resolution. I think it's a nice touch in this Countryman. And we have Mini's driver assistance package here on this particular one, which does work quite well. As you can see, it's essentially driving itself. It has a camera here tracking your eye movements. It has an insane amount of safety features, and it can change lanes for you by just a flick of a button, which I think is a really cool feature. And it's not one of those gimmicky ones where it just, like, you know, takes 20 seconds to move over a lane. It actually moves over quickly and aggressively. I believe you can change that adjustment there. I love the screens we have up there, as well as the visuals we're getting in the heads-up display to see what's happening on this highway assistance system. But really nice on the highway. It's quite quiet, and when you are driving in this core, or if you're going into the efficient modes, or green mode, for example, it is really quite calm and relaxing out on the highway, and it coasts and it tries to get the best efficiency you possibly can get out of this Mini powertrain here. And then, of course, yeah guys, to sum up this Mini John Cooper Works Countryman experience, it's really fun. I kind of like how it drives just a little bit more than the X1 M35, which are largely mechanically identical, but I don't know, this just has a little bit more of a fun factor to it. And yeah, there's the go-kart mode, but it honestly does feel more like a go-kart than the X2 did. It feels just like a little bit lower, a little bit more agile. The X2 felt a little more premium, sporty. This has a little more fun sporty, I think, to it. So nonetheless, definitely check this vehicle out. I really like the new Countryman, the refinement, the material quality, all of the new stuff that's going on this vehicle is really top tier. I think BMW Group is doing a really fantastic job now with their new vehicle lineup, and this is just no exception here. I'm really impressed. So for the price, I think honestly worth the money. You're getting a lot of car for the money. Would I like more screens? Yes, but at the end of the day, I think this is a really fantastic vehicle. Definitely give it a check out. Otherwise, guys, thank you again for joining me on yet another video here on Allcarnews, and as always, stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.